Welcome to the Social Lens and thank you for watching. Today we will be doing a deep dive into the political landscape as we unravel the strategic mission and core principles of the economic freedom fighters, better known as the EFF. Their mission: economic freedom in our lifetime. Join us as we explore the key elements of their vision and delve into what an EFF government would actually look like. The EFF strategic mission centers around the attainment of economic freedom, a bold initiative to reshape the economic landscape. The party aims to discontinue multinational and private ownership of crucial sectors, redirecting economic wealth for the benefit of all citizens. To achieve this, the EFF advocates for various forms of common and collective ownership, including state ownership and control, cooperatives, and workers' ownership. State ownership is seen as foundational, with the intention of paving the way for more progressive and inclusive economic models. But how does the EFF plan to realize this vision? Enter the non-negotiable 7 cardinal pillars, each playing a crucial role in reshaping the economic landscape. First on the list is the controversial expropriation of land without compensation for equitable redistribution. This approach involves transferring all land ownership and custodianship to the state, a move reminiscent of the Minerals and Petroleum Resources Development Act. Land users must apply for licenses, renewable every 25 years, specifying land use. The state can withdraw licenses and reallocate land for public purposes, preventing concentration and misuse. Private leases are limited to 25 years, with the state's right to expropriate for non-compliance. To support land workers, the state implements and extension services, prioritizing small-scale farmers in food procurement for crucial institutions. The entire food sector is envisioned to become a significant economic sector, with subsidies to small-scale farmers and open retail opportunities. The plan aims to develop South Africa's food economy, surpassing Brazil's, through well-structured mechanisms, expedited land reform, and guaranteed water supplies for sustainability and job creation. Moving on to the second pillar, the EFF advocates for the nationalization of mines, banks, and other strategic sectors of the economy. This is aimed at achieving sustainable economic transformation and addressing issues of unemployment, poverty, and inequality. Mineral wealth ownership is a key consideration, involving the expropriation of current minerals production processes and the creation of an efficient state-owned mining company. The emphasis is on job creation, efficient management, and public confidence in state capacity. The EFF envisions nationalized mineral wealth as a basis for product beneficiation in industrial processes. This encourages industrial and manufacturing entrepreneurs, cooperatives, and SMEs, aiming to reduce reliance on neoliberal mechanisms for industrial investment. Nationalization extends to promote sustainable and labor-absorptive industrial processes, with a focus on import substituting and export-led industrialization. Incentives for industrialization come with guaranteed rights and regulation through transformation charters. Skills development and education play a crucial role in this vision, feeding into a growing industrial and manufacturing process. Mass support and mobilization are deemed necessary, acknowledging potential international condemnation by global imperialists. The benefits of nationalization are multifaceted, contributing to an increased fiscus for education, housing, healthcare, infrastructure development, safety, and security. Additionally, nationalization is expected to result in more jobs, equitable spatial development, and improved wages and working conditions in mines. The EFF's vision doesn't stop at mines but extends to include monopoly industries. There's a proposal for the creation of a state bank and the nationalization of the Reserve Bank. Enter the state bank and financial sector transformation, a critical component of the EFF's economic vision. The party aims to establish a state bank to insulate the economy from global financial crises and promote development over narrow profit pursuit. Foreign ownership in strategic and monopoly sectors is to be limited to protect sovereignty and retain profits for development. This multifaceted approach sets the stage for a comprehensive transformation of the financial sector. As we've explored, the EFF strategic mission and non-negotiable 7 cardinal pillars outline a comprehensive plan for economic transformation. The party's vision encompasses land reform, nationalization of key sectors, and the establishment of state-owned entities to drive economic growth and benefit the population. Pillar 3 focuses on building state and government capacity, aiming to abolish tenders in favor of a strengthened and skilled public service. This developmental state ethos is driven by the need for a clear strategic vision and effective implementation. A strong state is considered crucial, as dependence on tenders carries political implications and reduces work quality due to corruption. Tenders limit the state's capacity to directly build value chains through procurement. To overcome this, the EFF emphasizes the importance of a motivated, inspired, and well-remunerated public service. Increased capacity is seen as essential for aggressively fighting corruption within the state, coupled with the strengthening of the revolutionary trade union movement in the public sector. The developmental state, as envisioned by the EFF, should possess the power to give mandates to both state-owned enterprises and private corporations. Compliance with state developmental targets becomes mandatory, not voluntary, with the state enforcing compliance through a carrot-and-stick system. Concrete steps are proposed, including the establishment of state-owned companies in various sectors such as housing, roads, cement, pharmaceuticals, mining, and food stocking. State ownership of critical parts of value chains is intended to produce essential inputs on a non-profit maximization basis. Furthermore, the state plans to employ engineers, quantity surveyors, project managers, and builders for sustainable tasks. Strict standards of quality assurance are to be implemented to ensure state-constructed entities meet high standards, driven by the need to provide affordable services rather than focusing on profit maximization. Moving on to Pillar 4, the EFF's commitment to free quality education, healthcare, houses, and sanitation takes center stage. In the realm of education, the EFF proposes free education up to the undergraduate level. The focus is on skills, education, and expertise aligned with industrial sectors, coupled with the expansion of post-secondary education. The party advocates for the establishment of sector-focused institutions and the encouragement of a qualitative focus. Industry-linked training authorities are to be created to address skills shortages. On the healthcare front, the EFF aims to build massive healthcare capacity, remunerating medical practitioners attractively. The regulation of medicine and healthcare costs is proposed to prevent overpricing, along with the establishment of a state pharmaceutical company for the production and distribution of medicines. Engagement with healthcare unions is also part of the plan, with the goal of improving the quality and quantity of health services provided. In the arena of human settlement and housing, the EFF envisions improvements in the quality and size of low-cost houses through the State Housing Construction Company. Regulation of housing finance is proposed, with a maximum period of 10 years for repayment. The party advocates for integrated human settlement with guaranteed bulk services and the illegalization of house repossessions. As part of their commitment to fundamental human rights, the EFF proposes the obligation for the state to provide sanitation. This includes the abolishment of bucket and pit toilets, addressing a pressing concern for many communities. Pillar 5 brings us to the EFF's vision for massive protected industrial development, with the introduction of minimum wages to close the wage gap and create millions of sustainable jobs. The introduction of minimum wages is a key element to reduce the wage gap. The EFF proposes a state-led industrial policy to protect infant industries, emphasizing both export-led and import-substituting industrialization. The focus shifts from exporting natural resources to locally manufacturing finished goods. Collaboration with industrial and manufacturing corporations is encouraged to build internal capacity. The introduction of minimum wages through legislation is a central aspect of the EFF strategy. Immediate focus areas include mine workers, farm workers, security guards, domestic workers, cleaners, petrol attendants, waiters/waitresses, and retail store workers. The party aims to abolish labor brokers and combat inequality by recognizing the wage gap between top managers and ordinary workers. The EFF rejects the notion that minimum wages cause unemployment. The EFF reiterates its commitment to mass-based campaigns, supporting organized workers and advocating for better working conditions. There's a call for legislation on incomes policy, including the regulation of executive pay as a proportion of the wages of the lowest paid workers. This addresses the party's concern about obscene levels of income inequality. Emphasis is placed on recruitment, promotion, and opportunities for Africans in the workplace. The EFF advocates for workers to move up the career ladder through increased access to tertiary institutions, referencing employment equity reports as a means to address workplace inequalities. The EFF's vision for South Africa becomes clearer, a vision of a robust state, free and accessible essential services, and a commitment to massive industrial development with a focus on job creation and reducing income inequality. Pillar 6 focuses on a bold initiative, massive investment in the development of the African economy. The EFF envisions an expansion of South African state capacity for big business in Africa, with state-owned enterprises playing a pivotal role in African infrastructure and industrial development. The role of state-owned enterprises is crucial, as they are expected to heavily invest in African infrastructure and industrial development. These investments are distinct from those of Western powers and China, with a key emphasis on skills transfer and sustainable economic development. Transnet, a state-owned enterprise, is highlighted as an example, aiming to leave footprints in skills transfer, community development, tax payment, reinvestment, safety standards, and compliance with labor laws. The EFF envisions interconnected development, linking the development of the African continent with South Africa's own progress. The party advocates for an active state role in African economic development, including the creation of trade corridors that facilitate mutual growth. South Africa's role is not limited to being a gateway for natural resources. Instead, the EFF envisions inspiring African countries to maximize socio-economic benefits. A concrete guided program is proposed, involving the expansion of South African state-owned enterprises to uplift other African economies. The establishment of a sovereign wealth fund is proposed, funded by surpluses resulting from state control and ownership of strategic sectors. The purpose includes investment in African development and insulating the South African economy during resource price volatilities and exhaustion. This move is compared to other countries with sovereign wealth funds, showcasing the EFF's commitment to ensuring economic stability and prosperity. Fundamental to the EFF political program is economic justice. The party advocates for the regulation and abolishment of foreign control and ownership in South Africa and the African continent. They extend ideological, political, and economic support to countries seeking to take ownership of their economic resources. Pillar 7 delves into the EFF's vision for an open, accountable, and corrupt-free government and society without fear of victimization by state agencies. The EFF critiques the current political system, claiming it excludes people from decision-making. The party advocates for genuine democracy, emphasizing the transfer of power to the people. To ensure financial transparency, the EFF proposes legal requirements for political parties to disclose their sources of funds. This transparency is intended to prevent political coups funded by multinational corporations, ensuring that parties managing South Africa's resources disclose their funding sources. The EFF emphasizes the need for state agencies to have relative autonomy to prevent micromanagement and manipulation. The appointment of heads of key institutions, such as the National Prosecuting Authority and Public Protector, is suggested to be through a joint merit-based process involving the executive, parliament, and judiciary. In a bid for a more efficient decision-making system, the EFF proposes recurrent referenda on contentious national issues. This system aims to gauge public opinion and sentiments, particularly on significant matters like going to war, enhancing citizen involvement in crucial decisions affecting the nation. The EFF's vision expands beyond national borders, envisioning a South Africa that actively contributes to the development of the entire African continent. Moreover, their commitment to an open, accountable government speaks to their desire for a true democracy where citizens actively participate in shaping the nation's future. In this segment, we dive into additional complementary pillars that the EFF considers equally crucial to its core principles. This reflects the party's comprehensive approach to governance. The EFF outlines a series of additional complementary pillars, each addressing specific aspects of governance and societal development. Let's unravel these pillars. The EFF proposes a countrywide spatial development framework to decentralize development. This involves creating industrial development zones and incentivize cities in areas with high poverty and unemployment rates. The aim is to spread economic opportunities across provinces, addressing regional disparities, such as poverty in regions like Limpopo and the Eastern Cape. The EFF advocates that elected representatives should use public services to stay connected with the realities of the people they serve. This approach ensures that public representatives understand firsthand the challenges faced by the communities they represent. To promote fiscal responsibility, the EFF calls for limitations on perks associated with political office. Representatives are encouraged to use personal resources for housing and transportation, fostering a culture of financial responsibility. The EFF promotes solidarity with global movements against capitalism and imperialism. The party advocates for the economic decolonization of Africa, free trade, and the elimination of unnecessary borders on the continent, emphasizing a vision of interconnectedness. Embracing African culture and arts is a focal point for the EFF. The party proposes increasing local content in media and making sports participation compulsory in schools to promote cultural diversity and a sense of national pride. The EFF stands against patriarchy, sexism, homophobia, tribalism, and religious intolerance. The party advocates for women's liberation through education, legislation, and addressing structural violence, championing gender equality and inclusivity. Advocating for the protection of immigrants' rights, regardless of legal status, the EFF calls for access to basic services for all, regardless of nationality, emphasizing a commitment to human rights and inclusivity. The EFF aligns monetary policies with the goal of building a labor-absorptive industrial economy. The party highlights the importance of local beneficiation and industrialization to foster economic growth and stability. Stressing the need for stable energy sources for economic development, the EFF advocates for green energy sources and significant state investment in green energy corporations to ensure environmental sustainability. The EFF supports programs utilizing science and technology for sustainable livelihoods. The proposal includes the construction of a high-technological institute and protection of technological innovations to drive innovation and progress. Calling for a model providing sustainable enterprise finance without demanding sureties, the EFF advocates for street hawker rights and infrastructure to support small businesses and promote economic inclusivity. The EFF proposes consolidating the legislative and administrative capital in Tshwane to save time and resources, streamlining government operations for increased efficiency. Advocating for a more accessible and representative criminal justice system, the EFF calls for transformative correctional services focused on education and skills development to address the root causes of crime. Recognizing the need to build strategic relationships with security forces, the EFF emphasizes patriotism and loyalty to the country, not just politicians. The common enemy is positioned as white monopoly capital, promoting a united front against economic inequality. As we conclude this segment, the additional complementary pillars outlined by the EFF provide a comprehensive vision for governance and societal development. These pillars touch upon diverse aspects of governance, from economic policies to social justice and international relations. In our ongoing exploration of the economic freedom fighters' vision for South Africa, it's crucial to understand who stands to benefit from the EFF struggle for economic freedom. The EFF outlines the primary beneficiaries and key considerations that underpin the party's commitment to transformative change. The economic freedom fighters, EFF, envision economic freedom as a vehicle for uplifting the marginalized and transforming South Africa's societal fabric. Let's delve into the primary beneficiaries and key considerations outlined. The EFF identifies the primary beneficiaries as the working class, encompassing those without ownership of the means of production. This includes the dejected masses, homeless individuals, and the disillusioned youth. The rural and urban poor, informal settlement dwellers, as well as the unemployed and underemployed, stand at the forefront of the struggle. Discriminated and undermined professionals of all races are also recognized as integral to the movement for economic freedom. South Africa is characterized as a landscape of racialized capitalism, historically placing the black majority, especially Africans, at the lower end of society. The EFF rejects the notion of South Africa as two separate nations, emphasizing its unity under capitalist structures. Despite the abolishment of racial legislations post-1994, massive inequalities persist due to a perceived lack of political determination to break from neoliberal development. The EFF asserts that post-apartheid South Africa continues to grapple with significant inequalities stemming from the apartheid legacy. Despite the abolition of racial legislations, these deep-rooted disparities persist, highlighting the need for a decisive break from neoliberal development. Recognizing the often overlooked colored working class as a core force for revolutionary change, the EFF calls for equal application of affirmative action legislation and practical programs for economic integration in sectors like fishing and wine farms. The document acknowledges the Indian/Asian working class, primarily consisting of small and medium enterprise owners, as relatively less oppressed. It advocates for their inclusion in the struggle for economic freedom, emphasizing the importance of conscious mobilization. Acknowledging the minimal quantitative presence of the white working class, the EFF stresses that the struggle for economic freedom is not against white people. Instead, it aims for the emancipation of the working class, including those within the white population who do not own land and means of production. Understanding the beneficiaries and key considerations of the EFF struggle for economic freedom provides a nuanced perspective on the party's commitment to addressing historical injustices. As we reach the culmination of our journey into the economic freedom fighters' vision for South Africa, the question lingers: what would it mean for the country if the EFF were to deliver on all its promises? If the EFF were to successfully implement its ambitious agenda, the impact on South Africa would be profound and far-reaching. The promises outlined in the EFF's vision encompass a comprehensive restructuring of the economic, social, and political landscape. The party's commitment to addressing historical injustices, dismantling apartheid legacies, and promoting inclusivity could foster a more just and cohesive nation. On the global stage, a successfully implemented EFF vision could position South Africa as an industrially developed nation with advanced technological capabilities. This could enhance the country's influence and contribute to global efforts in areas such as science, technology, and economic cooperation. Emphasizing unity under the banner of economic freedom, the EFF's vision challenges the notion of a divided South Africa. By recognizing the struggles and aspirations of diverse communities, the party aims to foster a sense of national unity that transcends historical divides. Central to the EFF's promises is the empowerment of the working class, irrespective of race. If realized, this could lead to a more inclusive and participatory democracy, where the benefits of economic freedom are shared by all, regardless of background or historical disadvantages. Central to the EFF's promises is the empowerment of the working class, irrespective of race. If realized, this could lead to a more inclusive and participatory democracy, where the benefits of economic freedom are shared by all, regardless of background or historical disadvantages. If you found this video informative, please click the like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Until next time.